Hello YouTube, and we are here today with another very awesome ritual deck profile. This is Malakata Netherlord of the Burning Abyss ritual. And yes, as I said, I was gonna build this deck the moment it was released, and actually this isn't the moment because I've already had it. And yeah, so it could have been Monday's video, but instead it's Wednesday's video, which is today. But nonetheless, I do want to say that the ritual spell card isn't out. So I'm just going to let you guys think about that, and if you're smart and you know your rituals, you should already know how this is going to work. And if you don't know, you've probably already spotted the random card in this deck that doesn't make any sense. So let's go right in. We have one BLS who most of the time ends up getting milled, and if he gets milled, there's no ways to get him back. We want 3 Sirs. Sirs, all the Burning Abyss can special summon themselves if you control no spell track card, so that is something good to know. But if you don't use that effect, you can use this other effect to special summon a Burning Abyss monster from the graveyard other than the ritual monster. And he's really great at cycling your Virgils, or cycling. You don't really cycle your Dantes because they don't have XYZ material, so they're pretty much dead after that. But he's good for cycling Virgils and any of your other Burning Abyss monsters. 3 Calcab, because he can get rid of back row. He works wonderfully with Phoenix Wing Windbath, because you get rid of 2 back row. You make your opponent top deck a card like it's just too strong. Then 2 Jin, Releaser of Ritual. This guy's amazing. If he's in the graveyard, so if he's milled, you can banish him as part of the ritual for a ritual summon. He's level 3, so it works really well with all these level 3 monsters and the level 6 Synchro, not level 6 Synchro, the level 6 ritual monster. And if he is used as requirement for a ritual summon, you can, your opponent cannot special summon. You can, but your opponent cannot. Then we want 1 Alec, who negates the effects of monsters. He works really well with Acid Golem. If you ever plan on making Acid Golem and he's still in the deck, then you can go for him. Then when Acid Golem detaches next turn, you can use it to negate Acid Golem's effect and special summon. If there's a turn after that, most of the time when you go for Acid Golem, it's game. Then we run 3 Graph. Graph special summons 1 from deck. 3 Tour Guide. Tour Guide special summons 1 from deck. 3 Skarm. Skarm switches out Tour Guide or your gens or anything, but mostly Tour Guide. And then 2 Rubik. This is the ultra rare and new challenges. He just special summons himself and he's a tuner. That's all he is. And then here he is, the Netherlord of the Burning Abyss, Malakota. You can ritual summon this card with Good and Evil, and the Burning Abyss must be ritual summoned, cannot be special summoned other ways, so you cannot use Scar or Traveler to get him, or Traveler in the Burning Abyss to get him back. Once per turn, during either player's turn, you can send 1 Burning Abyss monster from your hand to graveyard. Target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. To the end of the turn, that target loses attack and defense equal to the attack and defense of the Burning Abyss monster sent to the graveyard this way. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can target 1 card on the field, send to graveyard. So this is a ritual monster, you use him with Jin, and then you can pretty much run over anything because you just drop your Burning Abyss monsters and he gets over it because he's a 27 beater naturally. And besides, which makes him the most powerful Burning Abyss monster. And besides that, if necessary, if you have to Fire Lake with him, you can use him to get rid of a card. Now on Yugioh Pro, I was placing Clefforts with this, and I used his effect to get rid of a tool or a scout, and it went to the extra deck. I don't feel that's the same wording I'd have. I think it's the effect is treated the exact same as Black Ship of Corn, so I'm not sure if Black Ship of Corn will send Pendulum monsters to the grave or to the extra deck. I'm pretty certain if it specifies to the grave, it has to go to the grave. So in real life, this card could actually get rid of a scout or just any of those pendulum monsters that you just don't want to deal with anymore. 1 rank up Astral Force, which is decent just to make a Pleiades, or if you're facing Cliffords and they already have a killer, you can do what Patrick Hoban did, but you never used because nobody ran killer at the time, and make Heraldry Crest of Horror. He was a 4000 beater and goes down to 35 when killer's on the field. Then here's a random card, Beginning of the End. Activate only if there are 7 or more dark monsters in graveyard. Remove and play 5 of the dark monsters to draw 3 cards. The ones that I normally play are the Tour Guides, because once they're in the grave, there's nothing you can do to get them back. And then the Graph. The reason I tend to remove and play the Graph is because in the late game, Graph doesn't do anything. He just sits there on the grave, because you ran out of a deck and you're milling it and you don't actually want to deck out. So it's really Third and Calcab and your Skarms that you really want to keep, and your Rubiks. So in the late game, it's normally Tour Guides and Skarms. And then we want 1 Foolish, just for an extra rand, just so that way we can especially send a card. And then 3 preparation of rites. We already have to run 3 in this deck because it's pretty much how you get Rubik. If you mill your ritual spell card, you can search Rubik and then add that back, and then you're set to go, all as long as you have a Djinn. If you don't, then it becomes harder. If you draw into Rubik, if you draw into Rubik, it's a dead draw pretty much, because the only way to get this guy over here is to use preparation of rites. And if you draw into the ritual spell card, you have to then either use Dante to get Rubik back, or just search him out with prep, or draw into him. So right now it's really hard. Once the actual ritual spell card come out, that's Good and Evil in the Burning Abyss, it will become a lot easier, because then if they're both milled, you can just use a Fire Lake on 2 Dantes and then use Dantes to add back 1 of each. But until Good and Evil in the Burning Abyss is revealed and its effect is revealed, we won't know. But now onto the ritual spell card I'm using. Contract with the Abyss. You would think this would be the ritual spell card, but it is not. And you cannot add it back with Dante, even if it says Abyss, it has to say Burning Abyss. This card is used to ritual summon any dark ritual monster. Well, isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? And the total monsters, you tribute monsters from field or hand, so level equal to level, which is pretty much what Good and Evil is going to be. It's going to be an equal, it's not going to be a more than. I'd be really surprised if it was a more than type scenario. But no, Contract with the Abyss is just a simple one. If Djinn's in the grave, you can banish it. If not, you can use a Scrum or a Graph or a Stir or any of these guys from hand, and you can get effects off of them. So Contract with the Abyss is a really good card to use in this deck. When Good and Evil comes out, I suggest putting this card down to 1 and running 3 of that, obviously. And so that way you have 4, so that way you're more likely to mill it. And so that way prep is more alive. And really, you only get out 1. I've never gotten... No, I have gotten out 2 before. But, it's really hard to get out 2. And it's really hard to double Djinn. Because normally, like, you've milled too many. There's no way to get this card back except from using prep if it's in the grave. And so if you mill prep, that becomes an issue, so it's a big thing. And then we run 1 Travel in the Burning Abyss. I like this card better than Soul Charge because you don't pay any life points, so I like that. But it can be kind of picky and choose. The best times to use it is when you have like a Dante and like a Graph or a Stir on the field, and then you summon a tour guide, because then you normally go make another one. Stir effect will get out like a Graph, who can then get out a Scum. And then you can just get out a whole bunch of monsters, and then when you end your turn, you can then use Traveler to just bring back whichever ones you want. And then if you have a Fire Lake, you're all set to go. Or maybe you Fire Laked and your Dante had an XYZ material that was a Burning Abyss monster. And this will really help out. So they help out each other, so synergy, that's just what the deck does. And so yeah. And if it gets milled, it's not the worst thing in the world. You never add it back. You add back Fire Lake though with Dante if you can't Djinn your opponent. And then we run 1 Phoenix Wing Wind. Oh no, not 1. We run 2 Phoenix Wing Wind Blast. Again, this card works really well with Calcab because you can make your opponent top deck a back row and then return the other one to hand, so then they're screwed. And then you can also use Karma Cut, who can get rid of a monster. Use it with Calcab, gets rid of a monster and a back row. Or you could just use it with any of these guys and get an effect, unless you drop Virgil. Why do I always call him Virgil? It's because you use them to make Virgil. No, if you drop Rubik, you don't get an effect. It'd be better to drop Djinns, these guys, because they'd be okay in the grave, like you could use them later. The worst thing to drop would be Rubik or anything that isn't a Burning Abyss card. Or a Netherlord. And then that is the deck. This is just the deck. Pretty much we're running 3 of all of them except Rubik and Alec. And pretty much you're just trying to mill and mill and mill, and hopefully you draw into either Contract or Prep, and then you can make a Djinn. And then win. The only problem is like, unlike Necros, they have ways to protect their monsters, so it's a lot harder actually to get rid of a Djinn Necros monster. This guy is not the hardest thing to get over, specifically in the mirror match. Like, you have Phoenix Wing Wind Blast, Karma Cut, and Fire Lake. And Karma Cut could be the worst of them all, because then you just get rid of 2. You get rid of 2 or even all 3 of them. So that could be a very big problem. But yet, Fire Lake and these guys, though, the mirror match is going to be back and forth. I don't think there is a card that lets you take over. I know that people were citing in Puppet Plant, and by people I mean Patrick Hopen again. But no, I don't think there's anyone lets you take over Fiends. If there is, then that is a card that needs to be in your side. I need to look for that actually, because I need that in my side for Necros if it exists. But, so yeah, this thing, if normally when it hits the field it's game, because you run over everything at that point, and if your opponent doesn't have any trap cards, then you win. And so yeah, that's just the deck for the main part. I think it's going to be a really big deck, because again, Jin shuts down everything. It's just that it's a lot easier to get over, but even if you get over it, like, Clifford's are still going to have to deal with Fire Lake, which was apparently faster than what it took for them to get out Killer, if they were even running Killer. And so they can still have a lot of problems, even if they can get over Malakota. And it's going to be Necros. Necros is going to be the interesting deck. Because again, if they Jin, you're going to have to get your guys. And if you Jin, then they don't really have an answer to that. Except, do they have an answer to a Jin? No, they'd scoop and go on to game 2. Because they run World Decree, but they'd have to keep it sighted in. They'd have to make sure they had World Decree. So they'd probably cite in cards like Dark Hole and Rejeki, cards that just destroy things. Those would be the big things. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Dark Hole is a card that people start citing just for Malakota. Because, like, there's nothing that you can do to protect Malakota from a Dark Hole unless you wander on lands and have fun when that gets milled. Anyways, to the extra deck. Now that I'm ranting about how matchups are going to be. I have no clue, really. All we can do is wait and see in February. We have 2 Virgil, Rockstar, the Burning Abyss. Again, you can only control 1, which is unfortunate. And after this guy hits the grave, you pretty much use Sir constantly to get him back. But he's just a good 25 beta, and you can use his effect to get rid of a monster, so that's really good. In the mirror match, Dante's won't get their effect, so that's great. And if he leaves the field, you can draw 1 card, and he is generic, so just good to know, but yet his effect wouldn't work anyways. And then we won 139 Heraldry Crest of Horror. This guy is just to get over Killer. He's a 4000 beater. 1 Pleiades, just because he's good. 1 Acid going for game. And if we can get out 3 of them, we might make a Gear XG generic, and it's an Armades pretty much. We have 1 Chronomaly Crystal. I can't even pronounce it. Chronomaly Crystal Chrononaut. Again, this is the guy you Astral Force onto to make him, and he is like him equipped. And then we won 1 Nightmare Shark for game, 1 Alucard, 1 Leviator, 1 Triad Levia. This is a card I don't think a lot of people play, but it's like a Dark Magician of Chaos, because banish any monster destroyed by battle with this card. Once per turn during its play turn, detach an extra Z material, target 1 face of monster on the field, loses 100, and its effects are negated. So if you can make this card, it isn't the worst thing in the world, specifically in the mirror match or any match where people like to have their cards in the grave, like pretty much everything. And so it's good against Clifford's, because you can, Clifford's known because they're unaffected by rank 3s. So no, it wouldn't be that good against Clifford's. But against Shaddolls and Burning Abyss, this card wouldn't be that bad. 1 Equipped, this guy I tend to make a lot after I've already summoned Malakota, because he can use them to protect him from cards like Dark Hole. So this is the card you want to make after summoning Malakota, which can be a little bit hard. And if he is on the field, he can mess up the normal Burning Abyss plays, because they don't like monsters that aren't Burning Abyss. Yet if you have Malakota out and you've Jinned your opponent, what do you have to worry? And then we won 3 Dantes, and we'll just pretty much, this is the main card I make, like I just make him, and if I run out of all 3, then I will try to send some of them back. Yet if not, then I'm a little bit in trouble. Yet normally by then I've probably decked myself out. And so yeah, the deck is all about milling, hoping you can either get a contract or you can get a prep, so that way you can get Malakota out. And it isn't like it's super uncommon, like I've been able to make it in most games, it's just that it's still a good deck without it, like it doesn't need Malakota. And so yeah, this is what the deck is going to be. Now granted, it's going to be a little bit different, because most people are going to run a little bit differently, because again, people are going to run with good and evil in the Burning Abyss, and they're probably going to run one of this card. I'd be surprised if they didn't. Unfortunately, the highest rarity it comes in is rare, yet I wouldn't be surprised if it's in the all foil pack called Secret Force, which has 28 reprints, I believe. It's a 60 card set, 32 of them are new, 28 of them are not new apparently, because 60 minus 32 is 28, and we already know one of them is Preparations of Right, which is probably going to be a secret rare, so that's awesome. If it isn't, then still awesome, because it would be an all foil set, so who cares. But anyways, so maybe we might see this card get reprinted. Maybe we might see cards like just Ritual Support get reprinted. That'd be really great for Necros players. I'm really thinking this card's gonna get a reprint because it's only a rare. So yeah, this is the deck. Tell me what you guys think. Do you guys think Contract in the with the Abyss is going to be a card that they're gonna run? I'd say run it at run 4 Ritual spell cards, because you're gonna mill most of them. Because this deck can normally make 2 Dantes, like as long as you can open up with a graph 2 of your Burning Abyss monsters, and you mill either a graph or a stir with another one in the grave, you can probably make 2. Isn't the hardest thing to do in the world. And there's been times when I could have made all 3, but I didn't want to, because then I wouldn't have gotten certain effects. But yeah, this is the deck. It's Burning Abyss. It's considered one of the best meta decks. It's been beating Clifford's like crazy. I've watched a lot of matches with them, and it's really surprising me how Clifford's are just losing so badly to Burning Abyss. It's really also sad that Shaddolls aren't a thing anymore. But oh well, maybe Shaddolls will get a Ritual Monster now? Anybody agree with me? No? Okay, I'm just going on a rant. Oh well, nobody even watched my videos these long. So if you are still watching my video, I want to say thank you. And don't forget to check out some of my other videos over here with the other Burning Abyss monsters. And the links in the description, including that Swagbucks link and that Facebook link. Those are the only 2 links in the description, but yet click on them. Because they can either help make this deck a reality for you, or they can have links to this video, or some extra stuff. Sometimes I might tell you guys what I'm thinking of doing, and yeah, so yeah, check out some of that stuff, check out some of the videos over here, and thank you guys for watching. See you guys later. Bye. Hey, if you could click on the links on the annotation to see the duel with this deck or some of my other videos, that would really help. And check out the links in the description to watch some of me and my friends' videos, and even something that could help make this deck a reality for you. See you guys later. Bye.